Now for part 2 of this, I've actually jumped on my Mac, and we're going to use that to kind of follow this all the way, the rest of the way out. Here's what we're going to do. I've now jumped into this area where we're going to work on the sign. If you look in your layers, I've actually used a JPEG image or a PNG image or a pixel image that wasn't very good quality to use this as my tracing basis. I went ahead and traced this for you because frankly, it's not the easiest thing to trace, and I wanted you guys to have a nice high quality version of it. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to show you guys how to take this and make a full sign out of it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to first go ahead and we're going to reflect this, but I want to actually switch something first. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my fill and stroke. Okay, so should be good there. I'm going to show you one little quick problem that we need to fix before we move on. You guys will notice if I look at this and I turn back this, you'll notice it doesn't quite line up on this end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click, and I'm going to just grab this one anchor point, and I'm just going to kind of move it this direction just a little bit more. When I click this back, we really want this to be nice and symmetrical, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time. We'll go ahead and just nudge that out a little bit more, and you'll notice now it lines up a little bit better. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reflect this object and make a copy of it. So we talked about this last time. Your reflect tool will be hidden under your rotate tool. We're going to click on the reflect tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down my option button, and I'm going to click right on this line, and that's going to open up my reflect panel. I can see what the reflection is going to look like. We want this to be vertical reflection. When I turn on and off the preview thing, you guys will notice that I have a little bit of an issue when I turn on and off the preview thing. I'll show you what's causing it. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. Because I didn't deselect the individual point and reselect the entire object, my reflection was going to be really weird. Now we see the center point. Let's do this one more time, holding down my option key, clicking on this. Now when I preview this, it should actually reflect. What I'm going to do here, guys, is I'm just going to go ahead and click copy. And now, combining what we've learned with some other things, I'm going to go ahead and click on this end and this end. And I'm going to simply go up and use my Pathfinder. So I'm going to go ahead and open my Pathfinder right now, Window and Pathfinder. And I'm going to use my Unite command. Now you'll notice there's a little issue down here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you what that issue is. It's because they doesn't line up perfectly. So I'm going to go ahead and back up just one step, and let's look at that before I unite it. You'll notice when I zoom in on it, those things are not exactly touching. So I'm going to go ahead and click on one of them and just nudge it over. And you'll notice even my nudge was a little bit too much. I'm going to go ahead and just bring it over so it lines up better. Now I can go ahead and zoom back out. Now I select both parts again, and now I'm going to go ahead and click Unite. You'll notice I don't have that problem anymore. Now what I can do now is I can switch these by clicking on my Swap Fill and Stroke, and now I have a finished sign. The final part of this is just adding some text into these. So this is going to be route number 6. What I like to do is draw this text box outside of the actual thing, so I'm going to go ahead and type the number 6. And what I want this to be is a nice blocky text. So I'm going to go ahead and find something that fits for me. This Arial Black works great. I'm going to go ahead and bump up the size. Go ahead and put this inside here. And when I'm done with this, I'm just going to draw a selection border around both parts. And I'm going to simply just object and group them. For the final thing we're going to work on, it's very simple. We're going to make the 28, or the State Road 28. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply grab my ellipse tool, make a circle, go ahead and make sure that it has fill and stroke. Okay, so in this case, this has no fill. We may want to fill this with white here in a minute before we kind of finalize everything. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and fill that with white, because we want that to not be see-through. We're going to go ahead and grab my text tool again, text box outside of this, typed in the number 28. It's way too big for this sign, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that size down. Put this over my circle, and then once again, just draw a selection border, object, and group. Now, before I finish this one up, I do want to go back into this, and remember we can though it's grouped together, I can double click on this part, go into isolation mode, and you'll notice it's telling me that it has a fill of black, which is not true, so I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. We're going to ungroup this really quickly so we can make sure that we can get into both parts. I'm going to go ahead and click on this part right here, add a fill of white, and then draw one more selection border back over the whole thing, object, and group. This should, if I back out here, give me all 4 of the pieces that I'm going to need to put my map together. We will work on actually putting the map together tomorrow together.